Catch up with Nationals MP and former Resources Minister Keith Pitt. Keith, thanks for joining us. Another parliamentary sitting week wraps up. You must be heartbroken, of course. I wanted to test your general knowledge. I think you're an engineer, aren't you? So you should be able to sort us out with this. I want to ask, with these transmission lines that are going in around the country, how much more expensive is it to put them underground? Because that obviously would solve everybody's problems.
I'll put it in a technical term, Chris. It's $1 gazillion. Yeah, it's incredibly expensive. So. Yeah. And to be honest, it's just not practical. It really isn't. And you've got people out there saying now that they'll pay $200,000 a kilometre, $300,000 a kilometre in compensation. Imagine what that does to Chris Bowen's plan to cover the country in transmission. Yeah, well, I just wanted to get that from you, because a lot of people say it'll be fine if you just put them underground, but it's just so expensive and so complicated, right? You've got to tunnel under rivers and roads and whatnot. So it can't be done. It's got to be above ground. We're talking about 10,000 kilometres of transmission lines around the country. Why do we need to do this? Well, because Chris Bowen has a dream and he has a fantasy and he's got ideals, as has the Labor Party. And they want to cover the nation with things that just won't work. And, let's be frank, they're not interested in cost. Cost has never come into the equation for the federal Labor Party. They're about ideals. They think that intermittent wind and solar can run the nation. I think that's complete nonsense. And I've always been opposed to this sort of stuff because it just can't work. We need to have affordable, reliable electricity so that we can be a successful nation and defend ourselves. See, this is the problem. It's going to cause so much expense and so much upheaval, but just in the end it doesn't work. That's the problem. You could maybe justify some of the upheaval if we knew it was going to work, but every indication is it doesn't give us cheap or reliable energy. Have a listen to Catherine Myers. She's the spud farmer we spoke to earlier in the program.
There's going to be restrictions around what machinery that we can use. And even as I discovered today, even fencing is going to need a permit around these transmission line easements. So it's going to be very, very prohibitive.
Yeah, you've got these people, landholders whose rights are being trampled over by companies and governments right around the country. We're only going to see more of it. Is the coalition going to stand on their side, or do you have to back a lot of these projects?
Chris, our individual MPs are already out there fighting against this. Anne Webster down the Mallee, for example, Cole Boyce up in Queensland, Barnaby Joyce in New England, because they want to cover, the Labor Party want to cover the country in a tarpaulin of solar panels and wind turbine forests. I mean, the practicalities of this, these big wind turbines in particular, they have up to 800 tonne of concrete just in the base alone. They're destroying thousands of hectares of actual koala habitat without approvals. They don't need them in Queensland. They get overridden. I don't think the Australian people will wear it. The bush certainly won't wear it. And it just won't work. You imagine, Chris, for you or your viewers, you've got to keep 2 cars in your shed. One will work when it's sunny and windy and the other one works all the time. But you've got to pay for both and have 2 mortgages. This is the proposal.
I've had cars like that. Most of my cars have been the ones that only work occasionally. I've got a reliable one now, though. You know, the thing is, if you took politics out of this, right, you'd solve this instantly, and you wouldn't faff around with these small modular reactors that you're talking about when it comes to nuclear. You would have a big nuclear energy plant in the Hunter Valley in New South Wales, maybe one in the Illawarra, maybe one or two in the Latrobe Valley in Victoria, and that's it. It would underpin all the energy we need with existing transmission networks.
Well, that's exactly right. Nuclear, you're just using a source to create steam. You're boiling water, create steam to drive turbines, just like you do with coal or gas or any of the other traditional mechanisms. And you don't need a distributed system. You can use your existing transmission. You can use all of the existing distribution. It will save you an absolute fortune. And Chris Bowen's numbers on this are complete bunkum. Have a look around the world. The UAE, South Korea, France, Great Britain, pick anyone you like. The USA has a very old fleet, Chris, and even they are providing electricity to 70 million people and only producing about half an Olympic swimming pool of waste a year.
It works.
Compare that to wind and solar. It
works. It's safe. It's affordable. Yeah, absolutely. A very known quality. Thanks for joining us, Keith. I appreciate it. Have a good weekend. Keith Pitt there, who's the former Resources Minister, joining us live from Canberra. That's it. Forget about these small modular reactors. They can be good here and there. Why not go the whole hog and promote some decent-sized nuclear power facilities for this country?